Yes, good afternoon, Dawn, from Liverpool and Labour conference. Yes, I'm joined now by Oliver Coppard, who is the Mayor of South Yorkshire, the Labour Mayor, of course. Thank you very much for talking to us on GB News. Can we start with the comments that the Prime Minister just made this morning, where he called reforms, indefinite leave to remain, proposals racist and immoral? Do you think that is a correct description?
If I'm honest, I haven't studied their policy proposals in detail, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what I think of it, other than what I have seen looks just unworkable. I just can't see how they're going to deliver what they say they're going to deliver. They're very good at coming up with eye-catching policies that get a lot of attention from people like you and to a certain extent people like me, but it's also got to be workable, and from what I've seen, I don't think it is.
But Labour have now had over a year in office. You promised change. At the moment, most people feel that they're not getting that change. They're not seeing those improvements. The Prime Minister today saying that he can turn things around. How are you going to do that realistically? Because the poll ratings are pretty catastrophic for you at the moment.
Well, what I see in my community in the whole of South Yorkshire, some of the poorest parts of Northern Europe, certainly poorest parts of this country, Barnsley, Rotherham, Doncaster and Sheffield, is change. We're getting a load more money for transport, for instance. So from 2027, I recognise a while away, we'll be getting £1.5 billion to invest in our public transport network. Now, I've lived in South Yorkshire the vast majority of my life. I've never known us get that amount of money for public transport. When it comes to things like investment in businesses, in skills, in housing and a bunch of other things besides, we're getting unprecedented amounts of money. Now, those things take time, right? Because the government's got to make sure that their plans are right, then they've got to give us that money, and then we've got to make sure that that money is doing its work in our communities. These things take time, but we're certainly getting much more than we ever did under the Tories in places like South Yorkshire.
But Northern Powerhouse Rail, for an example, 16 million people in the north have had these big promises: fast rail from Liverpool to Hull, increased capacity.
And to South Yorkshire.
And to South Yorkshire. Yeah. And it never happens. And we were expecting an announcement on fast rail between Liverpool and Manchester to happen at this conference. Yeah. It sounds like it's not happening. And we're now in a situation like in Manchester 2 years ago, where Rishi Sunak stood in a former railway station in Manchester and told Manchester they're not getting the leg of HS2, and now here we are in Liverpool and we're not hearing that announcement that's so important for Liverpool. Isn't this a bit of deja vu? I mean, the North's been let down again, surely.
No, I think if you take your question at face value, which I do, what we have in our communities, in my community in South Yorkshire, is a public, myself included quite honestly, that is really sceptical about big rail announcements. So when a government, any government, comes out and says we're going to spend X billion pounds on these projects, I look at that sceptically, and I know the public do too. So what I think the government are right in doing is saying, look, we're going to dot the I's and cross the T's before we do what Rishi Sunak did, which is come out at a Tory party conference and say we're going to do all this stuff, but didn't have a clue how to pay for any of it. So this government has to get that right. I'm much more than prepared to wait a little bit more time if the plan that they come out with is workable and it is costed and is achievable quickly and it's ambitious. And if those things are done, then I'm more than happy for this government to take a little bit more time to get that right.
So just quick answer, please. You believe that the government can and will deliver for the North before the next election in a significant way?
The government are already delivering for the North through people like me and mayors across the North. We're getting more money in investment than we ever used to under the Tories, and that's going to come through and be in people's pockets, in people's lives in the not too distant future. These two things take time. It is frustrating for me and for my community, but we're going to change people's lives. We're going to change our communities for the better through this government.
Oliver Coppard,